it's only going to become more secure. I believe that before this decade is out, no one on earth will ever be able to take a single Satoshi from another human being ever without their consent. And this is coming rapidly, it's coming very quickly, which means that every single person on earth, whether their intentions are good or not, they're going to have to become a person of value. They're going to have to find a way to deliver something of value to other human beings. And this is the way a society should run. This is the way the world should operate. And so I believe that once the world understands that it is only custodied Bitcoin that derives all of its benefits, and that once we arrive at a place where even if you're irresponsible with it, it still can't be stolen, and that's coming. Think about that. Think about that point in the future, which is just a few short years away. Think about, for the first time in the human experience, nothing can be taken from you, or anyone for that matter. So now, how do you get it? How do you get the scarcest asset on earth? At $140,000 more or less, I know this number fluctuates, but at $140,000 Bitcoin, USD denominated price of Bitcoin, it becomes the most valuable asset on planet Earth. Today, it is the 12th most valuable asset the world has ever known. Number 12. Out of thousands, I think it's something like 1,900 some odd assets in the world. Out of 1,900 assets in the world, it has catapulted itself to number 12 out of all of them in 15 years. Where's it going to be in 20 years? It's going to be way past one. Where is it going to be by 2025? I believe by 2025, it has the potential to be the number one, the most valuable asset on earth. But even if not, I think it's a stone's throw for being the most valuable asset on earth outside of gold. So, how is the world going to get what they know is the most valuable asset on earth? They're going to have to buy it from someone willing to let go of it. And the numbers of people willing to let go of the most valuable thing on earth are dramatic. Is not that number is not only dramatically shrinking, it will practically shrink to almost zero when it becomes the most valuable thing on earth. At $150,000 Bitcoin, it is more valuable than Apple, which is the most valuable asset on earth today outside of gold. We're putting gold to the side for the moment. And so, what do you give up the most valuable asset on planet Earth for? The 15th most valuable one? The 100th most valuable one? What do you give it up for? You don't. So, it's going to become increasingly more difficult for people to give it up. And in the only way you're going to be able to give it up is to be able to purchase it from someone willing to sell it, which means that you're going to have to produce something with your value to get something high enough in value, to purchase something high enough in value, to have something else high enough in value, to trade with someone who has the most valuable asset on planet Earth. This is why I say our window of time, our window is closing on us rapidly. During the last cycle of Bitcoin, I believe the all-time high HODL rate was reached 60%. This was the last cycle where there was a point in time where 60% of all Bitcoin on planet Earth that had ever been mined, all Bitcoin that had ever been come into existence hadn't moved in a year. This cycle, we jumped another 10%. 70%, more than 70% of all the Bitcoin in existence, all the Bitcoin that's ever been mined hasn't moved in over 1 year. Last cycle, it was 60%. The cycle before that, it was 50%, and so forth and so on. It jumps on average 10% every cycle. Next cycle, that's 80%. Next cycle, that's 90%. We are going to reach a point as Bitcoin's value increases where greater and greater numbers of people find it silly to give it up for anything else. There aren't many things, even now in the world, that are worth $37,000. At $150,000, there's far fewer things in the world that are worth that, and onward and onward. And so we're at a place now where I'm talking active adoption, because I do see that there are two tiers of adoption, but active adoption is less than half of 1% of the world. But as Bitcoin's value rises, more and more people are going to desire it. This is not like everything else where the higher something goes up in price, the less people desire it. This goes the other way. The higher Bitcoin's value, the more people want it, the more people desire it, the more people regard it as valuable. More Bitcoin will be sought above 100,000 than is sought above 35,000. More Bitcoin will be sought above 500,000 than it will have been sought above 100,000, and on and on and on it goes. As the value of Bitcoin rises, so do the number of human beings on earth, so does the desire of the human beings on earth rise with it. They will want it. And yes, if they can steal it, the desire to steal it will only increase. The desire to take it from you will only increase. The desire to confiscate it will only increase. But if what I see occurs, what I know will occur, if that does occur, and it will, then it won't be able to be stolen or confiscated or taken. And so financial crime, in my opinion, is going to go by the wayside. And the human race is going to be forced to only get their hands on the scarcest, most valuable thing human beings have ever been exposed to. They're going to have to put their heads down and become valuable to their community. They're going to have to become valuable to their fellow human beings. But isn't that the way all society should be? No one should be able to participate in a society if they do not bring value to that society. No clan or group or organization should be delivering benefits to someone in that group, clan, or organization if they are not also contributing value to that clan, group, or organization. And so all human beings are going to have to be able to deliver value to their fellow human beings in order to get their claws, their paws on this most valuable, this most scarce thing that the world has ever known. And so productivity is going to rise. Necessity is the mother of invention. And this need to be able to produce something of value this necessity to produce it will cause productivity to explode globally, worldwide. I believe that this productivity abolishes things like poverty. This productivity, this explosion in the productivity of the human race eliminates many of the ills, the wills, the ills, and the the things that serve as the bane of the fabric of our society today. Most of these things are going to go away through the explosiveness of the productivity that Bitcoin is going to bring to the world. And once again, because you won't be able to take it, you'll have to produce. It's the only way. Some people say, well, might ask, well, Oliver, what if they can't produce? Well, they're over time going to have to basically fade into the ether, fall by the wayside. It's survival of the fittest. It always has been. And that force still operates with us. Only the best will survive. Only the most productive will thrive. And if you can't find a way to do that or be that, there will be no one that comes to your rescue. There will be no savior. Bitcoin's the savior. Our window to accumulate this rarest of all assets, this rarest of all things, this most special of all values that humans have ever been exposed to, that our window to accumulate it in any significant amounts is closing. It's closing rapidly. At $37,000 per Bitcoin, it's already pricing out 99% of the world. 99% of the world, well, okay, maybe 98% of the world can't get their hands on a full Bitcoin today. 98% of the world can't. And so as the value rises, fewer and fewer human beings will be able to get their hands on a full Bitcoin. If few today can get themselves to the place of accumulating one full Bitcoin, imagine how much fewer at 100,000 and 300,000 and a half a million and so forth and so on. And so our window of opportunity is closing. It's closing quite rapidly. And this does not mean that this is going to ice out the majority of people in terms of their ability to benefit from what Bitcoin delivers. That is not what I'm saying. I believe that the benefits from Bitcoin accrue to the human race forever. I do believe that. It is not the benefits that will go away, but the ownership of it does bring a certain higher level of benefits. And that's just the world, that's how the world works. The earlier adopters get that benefit. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it always will be. And over time, those who were intelligent enough or had vision enough to get larger stakes than others, over time that will get distributed generation after generation. It gets more evened out, but we still have the ability to grab chunks of this. We are still in the stake your claim phase of adoption. We're still early. And so chunks of this can still be acquired and put away. And so I don't believe that Bitcoin can possibly solve the passions of crime, the crimes of passion, I should say. All right. But it can solve most of our crimes which are financial in nature. And I'm talking about not only the crimes um, of men, not man on man crime, not just man on man crime. I'm talking organization on man crime, corporation on man crime, government on man crime, society on man crime. That man will stop being the victim of these collective organizations and stop being the victim of his own of himself through Bitcoin. Bitcoin is true freedom from all of this. And all of the things that we've suffered from has its roots largely in a broken money, a broken store of value, a trust-based store of value. History has proven that whenever you are forced to trust another human being, they will fail you. They may not fail you right away, but ultimately they're going to fail you. I can't remember who it was who said that in order for two men to keep a secret, one of them must die. And so I don't know if that was Benjamin Franklin or someone else, but that is the truth, in my opinion. There is no trust in humans. History has taught us that. And for the first time, we have something that is accessible to every human on earth in one form or another, but is not in the hands of any human on earth, that is not controlled or manipulated by any human on earth. For the first time, we can live in a trustless society. And so, in a sense, trust has been our nemesis. Trust has been our problem. The need to trust what can't be trusted is at the core of almost everything that's wrong. We are forced today, or we have been forced historically, to trust what can't be trusted, other human beings. And so now we place our trust in math. Now we place our trust in ourselves because Bitcoin is your word and you are your word. And that's the way it should be. So that's why I believe that Bitcoin, while it doesn't fix everything, it fixes a lot of things. This is why I believe that we are about to experience the highest level of productivity in the in the history of human existence because of Bitcoin. We are about to enter, in my opinion, in a realm where financial crime ultimately just simply doesn't exist. We're going to move to a world where theft is impossible, confiscation is no more, and taking from another man, taking from your brother and sister, just simply doesn't exist anymore. And so I'm curious, you tell me what you think. What are your thoughts regarding this? Has Oliver gone mad? Oliver's gone mad? Has Oliver gone mad? Um, or do you follow this train of thought? Do you see where properly custodied Bitcoin can get to a place where no entity or human can ever take it without consent? That financial crime becomes impossible. And that productivity will be the only way, value will be the only way you get your hands on Bitcoin in the future. I'm curious. Let me know. All right. I'm curious. Let me know. Let me know what you think. I see an orange chewing gram is giving me an orange pill and a little orange fruit there. I love it. Thank you. Lisa Lee is saying, Oliver, what if the owner dies unexpectedly? We will keep losing Bitcoin and its price keeps going up. Well, I believe that that's a very good question, Lisa, and I'm very glad you asked because it's something that I actually failed to touch upon. I think that at the same time that Bitcoin will get to a place where it is just literally safe proof, that you can't even mess it up. We're getting there. I'm telling you, it's coming. Um, that that also falls in line with the fact that you can't mess it up for your inheritance either. That um, it will always be passed to who you want it to be passed to. Um, I believe that all of this is coming. And I believe that it's coming in a very, very foolproof way, which means that it's going to be hard for you to mess it up. It's not all that hard for you to mess it up now, but that is not where Bitcoin is going to stay. It's still a baby. It is only going to get better in all of its aspects. The same way it's only going to become more scarce, the same way it's only going to become more valuable, the same way it's only going to become more adopted, the same way it's only going to become more understood, more desired. It is going to become more secure. It is going to become safer. It is going to become more theft prone, more idiot proof. It's only going to get better. Look at what the internet did. It only got better and it's still getting better. It's only going to get better. And so you have to think about this. I believe that passing on your Bitcoin to the appropriate people, the appropriate family members, will be as easy as one, two, three. It's already in the works. I see it in my short period of time in Bitcoin. I've seen inheritance planning with Bitcoin go through the roof. I mean, I've had to deal with that, right? I'm not 19 years old anymore. I have no intentions of selling my Bitcoin or giving it to someone else. So I've had to grapple with inheritance issues with Bitcoin. And in a very brief period of time, I'm talking in a 2+.5 year period of time, I've seen it exponentially improve. Imagine 4 years from now, 8 years from now, it's going to be idiot proof. And so I think this idea that it will remain easy to lose it is false. I think it's incorrect. People lost millions of Bitcoin in the past, but they're not losing millions today. So it's already improved and it's only going to get better. People were losing tens of thousands of Bitcoin in the past. No one's losing tens of thousands of Bitcoin today. All right. And so as the world becomes more educated, as Bitcoin's security and processes improve, um, as more and more layers get built on top of it, there will be some trade-offs with all layers built on top of the base layer of Bitcoin. Of course, we just live in a world of trade-offs. And you'll have to pick your own trade-offs with those different layers. But these different layers are going to bring about this idiot proofness that I am speaking of today. And it's close. I am not talking about 50 years from now. I'm talking about 5 years from now. Bitcoin is the fastest adopted technology on planet Earth. I posted about this earlier today, right here. It's the fastest adopted technology on Earth. Now, prior to Bitcoin, that went to the internet. That title went to the internet. Nothing before the internet was adopted faster. But if you go back to when the internet truly came into existence, it came into existence in the mid 1960s. It became um, commercially adoptable, let's say, in the latter part of the 1980s. And so it became more mainstream accepted, I would say, in the mid 1990s. And so it was during the Clinton administration that actually allowed the internet to be open and available for commercial use. And so this is where I believe that Bitcoin is today, that it's in the internet's 1994, 1995 period where it became okay in 1994 for commercial use, the internet. In 1994, 1995, it became okay for companies to start putting up websites, to start trying to sell things online. And so it became more talked about in mainstream media. It became more adopted. I believe that Bitcoin has become or is becoming right now. It's having its 1994 moment. You have the largest asset managers in the world stampeding in. You have a narrative change in the broad stream media. You have countries relaxing their policies against Bitcoin. You have more countries considering legal tender. Bitcoin is legal tender. You have politicians today running on a Bitcoin infused political platform and winning, by the way. You have policies that are being floated around to protect it. And so Bitcoin is experiencing what the internet experienced in 1994 and 1995. And we all saw that movie play out. We saw what the internet did from 1994 to 1995. And so, just like the internet existed since the 1960s, it did not really start its mainstream run until the mid 1990s. Just like Bitcoin was in existence since 2009, it's about to start its mainstream run now. All of a sudden, Bitcoin is great for the environment. Have you seen those articles? Since its birth, it was going to boil the ocean. Since its birth, it was going to destroy planet Earth. Now it's good for the environment. Every politician in the world was against it. Now they're winning running on a Bitcoin infused platform. Countries have made it legal adoption. Small, few, but that's how everything starts. Small and few. It's only going to grow from there. And so if we could go all the way back to 1994, and if the internet, the protocol that brought about the world's first $1 trillion assets, there were no $1 trillion assets before the internet. The internet brought about the possibility for $1 trillion assets to come into existence. If we could go back to 1994, 1995, when it all began, when the mainstream adoption began, if we could go back and buy a little piece of it, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you buy the land on which trillion-dollar assets build themselves? Wouldn't you buy the protocol they need to become trillion-dollar assets today? Of course you would. If the protocol was necessary to bring about $1 trillion assets, what's the protocol worth? Well, for the first time, we now have access to a protocol. We've never had access to a protocol before. We've never been able to stake our personal claims in a protocol before. We've never been able to own a piece of a protocol before. For the first time, we, you, me, can own a piece of the land that $10 trillion assets will come into being and be built upon. We could always buy a piece of Apple, but we couldn't buy the internet that gives Apple life. We could always buy a piece of Google or Amazon, but we couldn't buy a piece of the protocol that gave them life. Now we have not only the protocol of the next $10 trillion assets that will be built on this brand new protocol, we have the protocol of the entire world's money, all the value on planet Earth. Think of the protocol of all value on planet Earth and being able to own a piece of that. Wow. I'll say it 2 more times. Wow. 1 more time. Wow. Stake your claim, people. Stake it now. The window is closing. The window's closing. All right. All right. Lisa says, thank you for addressing. Will this recording be available? Yes, it will be available right here. And it will also be posted very shortly on Bitcoin Unleashed. You can find my full podcast with all of my prior talks on all of the platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you do your podcasting, you'll find Bitcoin Unleashed. Search for it. It is, some of my talks can be quite long. So if you are interested in just gobbling up clips and parts of those talks, that's available on the Fountain app as well as the long form. But I'm able to do the little clips on the Fountain app. So, and you can also earn some Satoshis listening on the free Satoshis listening to those episodes on the Fountain app as well. I do want to I want to thank you all once again for joining here live. I see some of my the very reliable listeners. Terrence, thank you for joining in. Love your book, by the way, one of my favorite. I just recommended that today. Guys, if you haven't gotten Terrence's book, Proof of Money, get it today. I got it in audio form. I am going to also order it in analog form, I should say, as well, just because I want to have it. But it's extraordinarily thorough. It covers so many points about Bitcoin, and it truly gets you fired up. So appreciate you, Terrence, for putting that out. Proof of Money, guys. Proof of Money. All right, guys, listen, I got to run. I'm going to do some dinner. I just want to quickly see if there are any very last minute questions here. I think I'm done. Thank you very much. I know your time is very valuable. It's something I don't take for granted. I hope I've delivered something of value in exchange for your time here. Again, as I'm always used to saying, if I failed at doing that, I promise I'll get better each and every single time. I am with you. All right, enjoy the rest of your evening, and you know what to do, guys. Go to work, stack harder. My name is Oliver Velez, and I am your 13%er Bitcoiner. Be safe out there, and until next time.